Lessons from the Hill. The Big Bully Lesson. Under the shady branches of an old oak tree, there was a happy ant family. Grandpa Robert, with his gray beard and wise eyes, loved to teach his young ants important lessons. Fireball, his tiny red-shelled grandson, always wore his baseball hat proudly. His cousin, Savannah, wore a blue bow, and their friend Digger was always curious about everything. One bright morning, Fireball ran outside. "Let's race to the acorn stump," he shouted, ready to zoom ahead. Savannah and Digger smiled and got ready to run too. But before they could start, a loud voice boomed from behind them. "You really think you can beat me?" It was Big Bert, the largest ant in the colony. His big black shell shone in the sunlight, and he stomped toward them with a grin. Fireball's heart skipped a beat. Bert wasn't friendly. He liked to push the smaller ants around. Bert sneered, "If you lose, you have to give me your food for a week." "That's not fair," Savannah said, her antennae drooping. But Bert didn't care. He gave Fireball a little shove, and Fireball tumbled to the ground. Fireball blinked back tears as he sat in the dirt. His chest hurt from the fall, but it was his heart that hurt even more. Bert's words made him feel small, smaller than ever before. Savannah helped Fireball up. "Don't listen to him, Fireball. He's just being mean." Digger, who was usually talkative, stayed quiet. He didn't know what to say. Bert was bigger and scarier than the other ants. "Let's go talk to Grandpa Robert," Savannah suggested. "He'll know what to do." The three ants scurried back to their home, hearts heavy with the weight of Bert's bullying. When they arrived, Grandpa Robert was sitting under a mushroom, carving a little stick with his cane resting beside him. "What's the matter, little ones?" Grandpa Robert asked, noticing their sad faces. Fireball sniffled. "Bert shoved me and said mean things. He's always being so mean, Grandpa. It's not fair." Grandpa Robert looked at the young ants with kind, understanding eyes. "I see," he said. "Come sit with me for a moment." The ants gathered close, feeling comforted by Grandpa's presence. "Do you know why some ants like Bert act so mean?" Grandpa asked. The young ants shook their heads. "Sometimes, when an ant bullies others, it's because they feel small inside themselves," Grandpa explained. "Bert might be struggling with his own feelings. Maybe he feels lonely or afraid, so he tries to make others feel bad to feel bigger." Savannah's eyes widened. "But why doesn't he just ask to play with us?" Grandpa Robert smiled gently. "That's a good question, Savannah. Sometimes when someone feels unhappy inside, they don't know how to ask for kindness, so they act out in hurtful ways." Fireball frowned. "But it still hurts when he's mean, Grandpa. What can we do?" Grandpa Robert leaned forward, his voice calm and wise. "You should never let someone like Bert push you around, but there's another way to stand up to him. You can be firm, but also kind." "Kind?" Digger asked, looking confused. "Why would we be kind to someone who's mean?" Grandpa Robert smiled. "Because kindness is the strongest root of all. When you show kindness, you give others a chance to change. You help them see there's a better way to treat others. And who knows, maybe Bert is just waiting for someone to show him a different path." Fireball thought about it. "So next time, I'll stand tall and tell Bert he can play with us if he's nice?" "Exactly," Grandpa Robert nodded. "By offering him kindness, you're showing him that he doesn't need to be a bully to have friends." The young ants felt a new kind of strength growing inside them. It wasn't the kind that came from being the fastest or the strongest, but from knowing how to be kind, even when it was hard. A few days later, Fireball, Savannah, and Digger were playing again near the old oak tree when Bert appeared. His usual scowl was plastered across his face, but this time, Fireball didn't back down. "You don't have to push us around, Bert," Fireball said, standing tall. "You can play with us if you're nice." Savannah nodded. "We'll race with you, but only if you play fair." Bert blinked in surprise. He looked at Fireball, then at Savannah and Digger. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then his shoulders slumped a little and he mumbled, I guess I'd like that." Fireball smiled. "Great, let's all race together." As the ants lined up, Fireball felt proud. Not because he was fast, but because he had shown Bert the power of kindness. Maybe Grandpa Robert was right. Kindness really was the strongest root of all. And from that day on, Bert started to change. He wasn't perfect, but he was learning. all because three small ants showed him a little kindness and gave him a chance to grow. The end. Want to join the Junior World Changers? Ask a parent to visit valuebuildersint.com and click on the link for World Change.